webinar. Before we begin the session, let's go over a few housekeeping items. I would like to request you all to please mute your phones during the presentation. For all the attendees with any questions, we will have a Q&A session at the end of the presentation. Request if you can key in your questions to the presenter and host on the WebEx chat, and we will try to answer those questions sequentially. If we are unable to get to any of those questions due to time constraints, we will respond to them separately over an email. Here is the agenda for today's session. We have with us Veena Gundevalli, CEO of Emagia Corporation, talking about providing a next-generation AR shared services solution blueprint for modernizing your operations. Veena has extensive experience in enterprise software applications, financial management solutions, business intelligence, and data analytics. Prior to Emagia, Veena has held several engineering positions at Cisco Systems, Canon Information Systems, and other companies. Without taking much of your time anymore, let me welcome Veena to start the presentation. Over to you, Veena. Thank you.
Thank you, Akshay. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us in this presentation today. I look forward to spending the next 1 hour with you and walking you through shared services transformation journey and technology elements that are key to this shared service transformation. Before I dive into the shared services transformation, I will briefly introduce our company, Emagia. Emagia is order-to-cash management solutions company, and we have an experience of over 10 years working with global finance departments as well as shared service centers. Our specific focus is on order-to-cash management solutions, and we have made continuous innovations over the last 10 years to improve the financial performance of our customers by driving efficiency and intelligence in finance operations, both in the finance departments as well as in the shared service centers. Some of our customers are shared service centers of large global companies, as well as specific shared service centers within North America, as well as other finance departments. We have expertise in multiple different verticals, manufacturing, for example, services, retail, CPG, and a number of different verticals. Our solutions, we have solutions both for mid-market companies as well as large global companies. We have packaged that into 3 different areas, specifically based on volumes of transactions. In most cases for shared service centers, our solutions for enterprise analytics and automation, which is in our enterprise receivables management suite, as well as the analytics. This forms the basis for the mid-market solutions. For large global enterprises, especially with very high volumes, our solution around big data and data management comprise as one of the foundation for managing large volume transactions. Today I'll focus primarily on shared service solution, and again, my pitch is not going to be specific on Emagia solutions, but walking you through what your team should be looking at from a solutions requirement perspective when they start planning for an AR shared services transformation. So let's get started. So finance transformation blueprint for AR shared services. This is our topic for today, and in this particular topic, I'm going to cover a few different areas. First and foremost, why finance and accounting shared services need to be transformed. What is the need that we need to be looking at today? What are the solution requirements for modernization? What is the technology blueprint for modern AR shared services? Introduction to key technologies like big data and how shared services can benefit. Introduction to data analytics and how shared services can benefit. Introduction to smart automation. What is it and where can you apply in shared services? I'm going to walk you through a few case studies of shared services who have implemented these kind of solutions, and also share with you what kind of return on investments as well as benefits these companies have derived. And finally, we'll conclude with a roadmap to start your shared services transformation project. So this is the agenda for today, and we'll have a Q&A right after the roadmap session. So let's get started with why you need to shared services transformation. We meet a lot of companies and shared service centers on a everyday basis, and one of the things that we look for is a commonality of why people are looking for solutions and why they need transformation. And two drivers, typically are out there that trigger these kind of projects. First and foremost, cost and efficiency optimization, and the other is the business growth and expansion. Let me walk you through where do you see this signs, how do you identify your scenario. First and foremost, on the cost and performance optimization scenario, how do you identify signs within your organizations? Typically, these companies or shared service centers have multiple disparate systems. There are a lot of locations, multiple currencies. There's a lack of operational control and visibility. Companies still use spreadsheet reporting. A lot of time is spent on manual reporting aspects. So that's a good sign to see if there is a project that can be put together for shared services transformation. Likewise, when you have situations where you need better control of cash flow, your treasury is asking you to give better insight into what the cash receipts may look like, and how you can control and manage the cash flow aspect from your shared service centers. The other is a very visible balance sheet metrics that are not looking good. For example, a DSO, a poor cash flow, high AR balances. All of these trigger the projects around AR transformation and shared services transformation. Bad debt issues. A lot of times shared services struggle with issues, disputes originated from the customer, but it takes a lot of time to resolve, going out to the business units and getting resolution on a timely basis. That results in bad debt issues, and when you have situations like that, you need to look at what do we need to do to improve this particular scenario. Another aspect, we see this a lot these days, is about not having standard processes across multiple business units. A lot of times companies look for either outsourcing or reducing the headcount in different ways, and the best way to first take a pause at that and look at where do we need to optimize, where do we need to put a solution or a technology solution that can give us a better handle on this, because headcount need not be the answer always. Technology plays a major role in optimizing both cost and the performance of the shared service center. The second scenario is when companies are expanding. These days, a lot of companies are growing with acquisitions, with mergers, and finance operations are spread out globally. And this is where you need systems to gain control on these operations and see how best you can gain visibility on a day-to-day basis as well as have control. Revenue and growth plans. This is when your corporate team, your management team is looking for expanding revenue opportunities. How can you identify customer segments? How can you identify your product lines that have better cash flows, for example? all of this data is available with the shared service center, and if there is a way for us to figure out how this data can be better utilized to help corporate establish sales plans as well as marketing plans and business growth plans, all of that can be done through shared services transformation. Going digital and embracing e-commerce. A lot of companies these days are opening digital websites where you're selling solutions online. And what that means is the back office processes in finance also need to be accelerated and need to be braced up for the digital pace. That is when also companies look for what are we doing in the shared service centers and how can we tie our back office processes to the front office e-commerce processes. Lastly, again, we see this a lot with shared services model. Companies are looking at restructuring and optimizing the shared services model continuously. They're looking at solutions, to one, improve visibility, two, reduce cost of operation. We see, companies looking at having mixed resource teams, for example, in-house teams, in combination with outsourced teams, or sometimes, teams distributed across different locations around the world. All of these means that you need to have better visibility into the operations. So growth and expansion planning triggers shared services transformation. So if your shared services is experiencing either the scenario one, which is cost reduction and optimization need, or business growth and expansion planning, that is when these projects get triggered. So before I move on to the next topic on the solution, I'd like to start a small poll, and with this, I'm going to start a polling section. Bear with me here. Okay. So I've started a polling question now. Is your company planning for transformation project within your shared services? We have 3 answers. Yes, within the next 12 months. Possibly considering within the next 24 months. No, not in the near future. So please select your answers. So we have about 42% of you saying possibly considering within the next 24 months. And of course, that number is increasing. It's increased to about close to about 55% now. Okay, we have 12 more seconds for submitting your answers. Great. So we have, again, close to about 60% possibly considering within the next 24 months. So if you're looking for shared services modernization, what is it that you need to plan for? What should the solution have as a requirement? And this is what we're going to walk you through in the next section. So a typical global shared service center has several ERP systems, for example, or several legacy systems. The information is distributed in multiple different systems. Also, documents are distributed in multiple different systems. You have, the document sharing systems, for example, or you have feeds coming in from the banks. You have logbox feeds, or you have documents in a purchase orders, sales orders, contracts at multiple different places. Your users are maybe worldwide or in different locations. Your sales again, in different locations. So this is a typical layout of a shared service center, very distributed, as well as, having a lot of different systems. So where do you take it from here? First and foremost, amidst so many different systems, you need to have the ability to manage the process. And a typical order-to-cash process, has several subcomponents in that. For example, order management. You have, first of all, credit decisions, order management, fulfillment, your collections management, deductions management, cash flow forecasting, cash application. All of these different aspects are subsystems, smaller sub-processes that have their own nuances and need to be managed at a sub-process level to be very efficient. When you look at the shared service requirements of modern AR shared service centers, top 5 requirements most of the companies are looking for. First and foremost, looking for single view of truth. Shared service centers are looking for all data and documents to be at one central location or one central place, or whether it is a virtual platform or a one hardware platform, but we are talking about having all the data and documents in one central location. Secondly, managers and line level leads need to have KPIs and dashboards that are available at all times that give operational insight. This helps not only the managers as well as executives to understand what the operations are at each of the business units and each of the product lines. Thirdly, automation in credit, collections, disputes, payments, cash applications, cash flow forecasting. These are some core areas that companies are looking for automation. And these are areas where you can achieve tremendous amount of efficiencies and reduction of operational costs. The fourth requirement is on ability to handle complex organization structure. For example, having in-house teams, having outsourced teams, having a combination of these two, also having a parent-child hierarchy for your customers, ability to view information for a single customer across the multiple business units, for example, or single bill to and multiple ship to, or any combination of customer hierarchy. And finally, one of the most important requirement is giving or having the ability to change configurations as your policies change, as your processes change, or as new business units get added to the system. All of these need to come together without having to go to IT or depend on IT or depend on a third-party vendor to change the configurations. So these are the 5 top requirements for the solutions. And again, my rest of the presentation will go a deep dive into each of these 5 different areas and give you what are the components that need to go as part of your solution requirements, especially if you're preparing an RFI or an RFP or looking for evaluating for solutions. These components come in very handy for you to add into your evaluation. So what is the technology blueprint for these modern AR shared services? What kind of technologies can accommodate the top 5 requirements and the requirements that include as sub-requirements for these top 5? So I'm going to walk you through a few industry statements here. Recently, the Deloitte CFO published an article in CFO magazine. What will the role of CFO look like in 2020? This article covers not only the role of the CFO, but the entire finance organization and the F&A shared services, how these operations need to be shaped up. 5 years from now, a world-class finance organization may be defined by how well it uses innovative business tools and applications that leverage technologies like mobility, software as a service, data visualization, predictive and cognitive analytics, and social media. These are some top technologies, that are out there, and every department out there in marketing, sales, the front office are already using these solutions. It's time for finance operations and shared services to start using these solutions on a day-to-day basis and be very effective in managing the operations using these solutions. So in this context, 3 core technologies are necessary for a shared service transformations. Again, my focus is more on high volume operations. So in the high volume operations, we're talking about 3 core technologies that provide maximum impact and maximum ROI. First and foremost, big data. Secondly, analytics. And thirdly, automation, and specifically smart automation. I will cover all of these 3 different aspects and walk you through how you can build up a stack using all of these 3 different solutions and how you can impact your daily operations in credit, AR, collections, disputes, cash applications, and the entire order-to-cash cycle. So with this, let me walk you through the stack. Again, this particular stack primarily can be put together with these 3 different solutions. So first and foremost, having a centralized data repository, that is the key for ensuring all of the data and the documents flows into one central location. Again, if you're having multiple ERPs, multiple legacy systems, if you're having multi-organizations, multi-currency, multi-language, multi-time zone, all of these different aspects need to come together into a centralized data repository. Once you have the data repository, that's when you can enable analytics, you can enable smart automation, and then later on with dashboards and other aspects. So my presentation focuses on how you can build each of these stacks, and we'll walk you through each one of this as we move along. So with that, let me also share with you why this particular stack is important. Another leading article by Robert Kugel, Ventana Research, had shared that big data analytics adoption is growing, and this is going to be one of the key technologies. And close to about 50% of the companies that have been polled are already beginning to think of putting these technologies in place or already having plans of putting these technologies into their shared services operations. So with this, let me walk you through these 3 different components: 1, big data; 2, analytics; and 3, smart automation. Starting out first with big data, and where do you apply? As I talked about the need of centralized data repository, currently most shared service centers, who are accessing different disparate systems can use centralized data repository. Earlier, before the adoption of big data and some of the technologies around the big data, it was very hard to get information into a central location, handling multiple different structures of data. If you have an Oracle system or an SAP system or a PeopleSoft or BON or multiple other systems, each of these systems have different formats. Pulling all of this disparate data and putting in a central location and having a single view, used to be an enormous effect and enormous effort. And that's where a lot of IT organizations and shared service centers, were not, very equipped to deal with this kind of a centralized view of the data repository. However, with the advent of, or with the emergence of big data can now pull together all of this information in one central location very easily, especially with the emergence of Apache Hadoop. Apache Hadoop is an open source big data database where you can put any type of data. You can put structured data, for example, structured meaning your transactional data from your financial systems, your ERP systems. You can put all of that data centrally into the Hadoop system. You can also put unstructured data, which is your documents, for example. You can put your sales orders, you can put purchase orders, your credit contracts, credit application forms, any of the reminder letters, collection notes, check images, logbook feeds, ACH transactions, wire transactions. All of this information can feed now into one central database. And the big data system, the beauty of the big data system, it's an open source, and the cost of the big data system, the storage costs are literally about 1/100 of what it costs if you have to store this in a typical an Oracle or an SAP or a PeopleSoft or a EMC kind of a data management solution. So big data on Hadoop is growing, and this is an area that shared service centers can leverage the big data technologies for easy storage and easy creation of a single point of view. Also, the big data technologies come up with a data search engine. For example, when you go to Google or Yahoo, for example, when you do a search, what lies in the back of that particular search is a big data analytics engine and the big data search engine. You can simply use search with a text-like strings. So instead of trying to go with a hardcore ERP type of a search where you have to create queries, for example, or you have to create strings to be able to extract information, your shared service staff can simply go into a Google-like search into this repository, simply type in an invoice number, for example, and it gives all relevant information or all relevant documents connected with that particular invoice number. Likewise, if there is a particular customer name, you type in the customer name and it will give all the interactions with that particular customers, all statements, very similar to the Google-like search. What happens with this is it helps your shared services center to access information in a very fast manner, very easy manner, and you need not go to multiple different systems, log into multiple different systems to get information. This greatly accelerates the operations, and this is how big data can help you, one, put together the data in one place, as well as help you access the data in a very easy manner. Quick question. Again, I'm going to open up a poll question. Okay, I have opened a new poll. Polling question is, how many disparate data and document systems do you access in your AR shared service center? A, 1 to 5, B, 5 to 10 systems, C, more than 10. Okay, approximately about 45% of you have mentioned about 5 to 10 systems. So it looks like most of you are dealing with multiple different systems, and again, as we have mentioned, either you can use a big data system or you can use a single repository of more of an RDBMS type of a solution. But either case, if you're using more than 2 or 3 different systems, it is best for you to consolidate all of that into a single repository. Now, Now that you have data in a centralized system, what can you do with that particular data? And that is where I'll walk you through analytics and how shared services can benefit from analytics. So what are analytics? This is a hot topic in multiple different areas, and it's very important for finance organizations and finance operations to understand what are analytics. Analytics is all about understanding patterns in your data. And how do you understand that? It's by using advanced statistics, advanced technologies like machine learning, artificial intelligence, and complex computing techniques. What these advanced computing techniques do is help you understand what your data is telling, what is the story behind the data. And let me walk you through a few examples of what I mean by understanding the story of what your data tells you. So first and foremost, when you have the big data or a centralized data repository, you are bringing the data together. You're doing data mining. You can bring all your AR data into a centralized repository. Once that data is available to you, that is when we are applying, advanced statistical techniques or, analytics to understand patterns. For example, what is your customer payment behavior? What is your collections team collections performance trends, for example? Or what are certain deductions patterns on different product lines? So likewise, you can understand the patterns across multiple different areas. You can understand, the DSO pattern, for example. You can understand cash application, times patterns, for example, multiple different patterns. And using that particular patterns, now you can forecast what your cash collections may look like, what your key performance indices, for example, your collections efficiency, what it is trending to, what it may look like, what is your DSO, how is it going to look like, and disputes, how many disputes can you potentially have, on a particular product line, for example. All of those aspects can be predicted, forecasted using analytics. And using that information, you can now start planning, how many people do you want to allocate, to a particular operation, how many transactions, may flow through, for a particular operation, for example, and how do you plan your credit and collection strategies. All of those things can be planned using analytics. Now, I'll explain a little more on what does it mean for you, right, and how can you see all of these different patterns. So first and foremost, these days there are sophisticated tools that are transforming these analytics into visual dashboards and visual charts that are very easy for you to understand. So you can now, instead of using Excel spreadsheets and trying to use information from that to understand the operations, you can now use these dashboards. I have a dashboard right here on the slide that shows you very visually, what is the aging buckets, for example. Here is my, current due bucket, and, for whatever reason, my 90-plus bucket is not looking good. And, by the way, the blue color is a North America unit. So maybe I have a certain problem with certain segment of customers over there. So this is a simple example of how a dashboard can help you to see on a day-to-day basis, and how these visual analytics can help you manage on a day-to-day basis. Now, within this visual analytics, or within the analytics, there are three types of analytics. First and foremost, I'll work with what we call as descriptive analytics. So descriptive analytics is the most simplest form. What it tells you is what happened and why it happened. For example, you can apply a descriptive analytics to your current accounting period. So I want to see, how my collections are happening, and how my dispute resolution is happening. Why did they happen? What are the reason codes? What are the dispute resolution across each of the reason codes, for example? So these are very simplistic reports. Of course, if you're using an Excel spreadsheet right now, this is a major step up from Excel spreadsheet. but for analytics, this is the most simplest form of visual analytics. They simply give you what's happening today. Now, you can use this, as I mentioned here. Where can you use them? You can use them for daily dashboards. You can use them for KPI monitoring. You can use them to have visibility and control of your daily operations. You can identify, whether your teams are performing well or not, which team is having a problem, resource utilization, cost allocation. Do you really need 20 people, managing, certain segment of customers, or do you want to reallocate, for example? And also service level monitoring. If you're having an outsourced team, monitoring, are they meeting their service level agreements? All of that can be done in descriptive analytics. Descriptive analytics, again, you can also extend this historically to see, give me trends for multiple accounting periods, give me trends for the months, and all of that. Again, all it tells you is what has happened, what is happening, and why it happened. So this is what is descriptive analytics. The next is predictive analytics. And this is where, your shared service center and your systems are getting smarter and smarter. Predictive analytics tell you what is going to happen. For example, if I'm a collector and I'm doing collections on a major account, the system can automatically keep track of how this account was paying over the last several accounting periods and can tell me, yes, they're going to pay on time, or no, they are not going to pay on time. Maybe it's time for you to give them a call or send them a letter. So the system automatically prompts me how I can change the behavior of the customer. That's a simple example. Again, you can apply this to various different methods. Another example, on your day-to-day life, I'd like to relate how you're using predictive analytics. I'm sure, all of you, or most of you, watch movies on Netflix. When you go to Netflix and, you want to select a movie, it automatically prompts you, maybe these are the 4, movies that you would like to watch. That is using predictive analytics in the background, because it is tracking what kind of movies that you're watching, and it's automatically prompting to you, maybe, you may like to watch, this, new set of movies. So you can apply the same type of predictive analytics now to your shared service center, where the system automatically can prompt, if it's a credit analyst, for example, hey, you're dealing with a risky customer, maybe, you need to apply a credit limit of, or approve a credit limit of so-and-so, or recommend a credit limit lower than what it is before. Likewise, if you're doing collections, it will prompt you on, hey, you need to call up this particular customer because the behavior is changing from, a timely paying behavior to being delinquent, for example. So that is how predictive analytics can be used. And more what we see is shared service centers, fast forward from now, 5 years from now, 7 years from now, will absolutely use predictive analytics as one of the core, technologies. We're already seeing in many RFPs, many requirements of some leading edge companies asking for predictive analytics in their shared service centers. So if you're putting together a plan, there is a good possibility or a good need for putting predictive analytics as one of the core criteria. The next is prescriptive analytics. Prescriptive analytics is analytics that actually helps you guide on what you should be doing next. This is also called optimization analytics. For example, if your DSO is going down, or if your collection efficiency index is going down, the system automatically can tell you this is happening because of particular set of customers or particular product lines, for example, and will take you to the key problem areas where you can now identify those areas and start changing those areas. Again, that's prescriptive analytics. So again, we have descriptive analytics, predictive analytics, prescriptive analytics. These are the 3 types of analytics, and as you start using them, you will you will have your teams empowered, you have your executives empowered with more and more information and control on the operations. So coming right into the AR operations, applying all of these, a good shared services system should have analytics that have some pre-built KPIs, pre-built dashboards, pre-built reports, and ideally it should have period-wise views. For example, you want to see current period views, you want to see historic trend views as well as predictive. Again, all of these systems, analytic systems need to give you, good reports in each of these areas, on the order management side, on the credit side, receivable side, collections, deductions, cash applications. All of these different areas can also be managed. This is a quick example of, some of the dashboards, visual representation of, how you can have these on a daily basis and how you can start managing this. Also, we have a list of KPIs that we can, share with you. What are some KPIs, that need to go as part of the solution requirement if you were to put together a dashboard solution. With this, let me go for a quick polling question of around analytics. Okay. So I'll open a new poll. Do you have plans to leverage data analytics and business intelligence? Yes, within the next 12 months. Maybe within the next 24 to 36 months. No plans. Already using. With this, let me move on to the next one. The poll response is close to about 30% of you have mentioned that you have plans to use this in the next 24 months. Okay, so now that we have the data in a central location, we have dashboards, what is the next layer? So this is about smart automation. Smart automation is, how do you apply this to the different processes? And I'm going to walk you through each of these, in a very fast order here. We have about 6 different sub-processes, from credit to cash, and I'll walk you through where you apply smart automation. And as I mentioned, as we're building up the stack, we've built the data repository, we've built the advanced analytics engine, and now using this information, we are going to start driving each of the sub-processes, each of these 6 different processes. So first and foremost, receivables management. One, automating your receivables reporting. It becomes very easy with all of this. Automating, your AR portfolio analysis, your aging buckets, for example, your risk analysis, collection efficiency analysis, all of these across multiple different dimensions. Automating cash applications, cash receipts, for example, becomes very easy. Another major aspect of it is driving efficiency is electronic invoice presentment as well as statement presentment. A good system, modern system, should have capabilities to automatically email or mail or fax or print invoices and statements, from a centralized system. So that way you don't have to worry about, 10 different systems and accessing information from 10 different systems for posting to the customers. The next area is credit process. This is an area we are seeing a lot of companies, looking at improving. Most companies have a very manual process here. And so the first and foremost, how do you get started? One, take your credit application, take it online, go digital. These days with digital signatures and electronic and digital reference checks, where automatically the system, takes the information via email or, via web forms, to multiple different people and gets the reference checks, is possible. You can integrate your credit management system automatically to a DNB or a Experian or a Equifax, type of a system, and pull information right into one centralized system. So this way you don't have to go to multiple different locations. All information comes to you. And from there, again, automating credit scoring. Each of your business unit may have, a different way of, scoring. A good system should have a credit scoring capability where you can set up, different types of matrices based on your projects, based on your business unit, et cetera. Automating credit decisions. This is a very important aspect where, if you set up rules, if your DNB report shows that, or if a, Experian report shows that it is a less risky customer, you may want to automatically go approve, certain amount of credit line. And you can set up rules, for credit decisions. You can set up approval process rules. For example, if it is a slightly risky customer, you do want to have, 3 others look at that particular application and give their inputs, for example. Automatic credit renewals. If the same customer is, there in the system for more than a year or more than 6 months, you do want to do an automatic credit renewal. A good system should have a way to trigger that and way to automate the credit renewal process. So again, these are some key areas that you can automate in the credit process. What happens with this is you can automate with your low and medium risk decisions, and you can allocate your staff primarily to high risk decisions. This again saves you time and operational costs. Next is on the collections process. A good system should give you daily task lists for your collectors. Your collectors need not, go and make their own task list using an Excel spreadsheet. The system should give them a task list with a list of tasks. Go send a reminder to so-and-so customer, or, so-and-so customer promise to pay is broken, and you may need to remind them, to send the payment, for example, or certain customer needs a letter. All of those aspects need to be automated. Likewise, setting up collection strategies. A lot of times for shared service centers, when you're dealing with different business units or different business segments, or you're having an outsourced team, you need to standardize or automate the collection strategies. And again, this is a major part of a collection automation requirement. A good system should have letters generation and distribution. You should be able to set up templates. You should be able to automate, which customer should receive what. You should also be able to automate which customers should not receive certain types of notices, for example. Emailing, faxing, printing, all of that should be part of the system requirement. Digital forms for electronic, capture of collection notes, promise to pay, follow-ups, all of that, need to be automated. Goal setting and monitoring of collections teams need to be automated. Finally, you can leverage predictive analytics to be able to follow up with the customers based on their payment behavior. You should be able to identify risky customers, for example. So these are some key components of automation that need to go into collection process. The end goal here is, you automate low-touch collections and you allocate your staff primarily to problem customers. This is a very important aspect, because a lot of shared service centers today are simply looking at, I want to outsource, 50% of my collections, FTEs, for example, or I want to outsource 30% of them. Rather than looking at it from a headcount perspective, look at it, how the solution can help in automating most of it and only allocate staff for problem customers. It's a very high efficiency benefit that you get with these systems. Dispute resolution process. A good dispute resolution system, again, need to have ability to put reason codes, ability to put workflows. It should have automatic credit and debit matching in place. If somebody short pays, for example, the system should be able to automatically identify the short pay, put it in an auto dispute, and send it in a workflow so it can be resolved as quickly as possible. A good system should have reminders and escalations to shorten up the resolution times. You should also be able to have audit trails, to have better compliance. And finally, predictive analytics can tell you who are the problem customers who may potentially, raise disputes on their invoices. So even before they file for disputes or even before they dispute the invoice, if you know that there is a propensity of dispute on a particular invoice, you can proactively handle that in a very good manner. Customer self-service. This is an area of automation that you can greatly benefit for your shared service center. If you have a customer financial self-service portal, you can get all the invoices online, you can get the statements online, you can get the notices online, you can take the electronic payments online, whether it's credit card or ACH or wire. All of these aspects can come together, and it can greatly improve collections efficiency and customer satisfaction. So we strongly recommend a self-service customer portal for, shared services. The next is around cash application. This is an area of tremendous efficiency gains if you're using an automated system. You can integrate your automated cash application system with log boxes, with bank feeds. You can also set up OCR scanning of manual checks. All of this information, can be obtained, and you can enable automated invoice to remittance matching. You can also enable credit and debit matching. This cuts down a lot of time required on matching, and your team can only focus on unmatched transactions, for example, or unidentified or problem receipts. So this again gives you a lot of cash application efficiency, and it can help you reduce operational cost. So, all in all, I think with the automation of the credit, collections, dispute management, cash applications, customer financial self-service, what you're doing is transforming your AR shared service center more into a smart digital shared service center where most of the transactions of low value transactions are actually automated and done electronically within the system. So these are the benefits of the shared services automation. And very quickly, I would like to open one other polling question, and this is my last polling question. This focuses more around the transactions or the processes that is of interest to you. For example, which process will benefit the most from automation within your shared service center? If you can take a quick minute and give your answers. The first answer is AR collections and disputes. The second is credit management. Third, cash application and deductions. Fourth, electronic invoice presentment and payment. So we have close to about 40% of you saying AR collections and dispute management is the top priority or the process that benefits you the most. So with this, very quickly, I'll dive into what are the benefits and how can you put an ROI on this. First and foremost, measurement of cycle times and operational cost. Automation as well as the big data and analytics can greatly improve your collections efficiency or your order to cash cycle times, and you can reduce operational costs, overall improving cash flows as well as the efficiency. Few metrics that again can be improved: DSO, cash flow, free cash flow, cost of operations, profitability. Risk, for example, can be mitigated, and this information can be used for growth and expansion purposes, and of course, improving the overall value of your company. One of the most important thing I would like to highlight is So far, the shared service centers, primarily are back office operations, but now with this data and with analytics and with the reduced cost of operations, you can now use these insights to become a very strategic partner to your executive team. You can start sharing more and more information about which product lines are giving better cash flows, which customers segments are having better customer satisfaction, and any operational problems in fulfillment and shipping and other areas. All of that can be highlighted using your shared services data. 4 areas primarily, again, cost, control, compliance, cash flow. These are the primary benefits of this new modernization. And again, we'll be happy to share with you a lot more details around the specific components, what you can mark in your solution ROI document for quantifying each of these 4 different components. But again, the solution or the new technology blueprint addresses the 4 fundamental aspects of transformation. Very quickly on case studies, how different companies have benefited with transformation. First and foremost, this is a case study of a large electronics contract manufacturer who had, again, multiple different system feeds and have deployed one centralized system to gain control. And again, some of the benefits that are highlighted here are very obvious. $14 million in annual interest savings because of cash flow improvement, a sizable improvement. Likewise, another case study of a manufacturing company wanted to have global visibility, was going through growth with the mergers and acquisitions, has deployed the shared service solutions with Emagia, and they have, again, able to reduce DSO and improve cash flow in a very sizable manner. Another case study of a global chemical manufacturer who had very seasonal cash flows and large volumes of deductions and disputes, wanted to gain control on the collections and wanted to have better cash flow forecasting. And again, this is a success story of how these companies were able to achieve a better cash flow forecasting. So now that we have some proof of the points, very quickly we have, I know we are in the, almost at the end of the hour here. We have 3 minutes. I'll take a minute to highlight how you can get started. Again, we'll share with you our experience, and we'll be happy to help, if you need more information here. A roadmap, first and foremost, understand your corporate goals. What are your corporate business objectives, and how can you have your executive support if you want to align your shared service center operations with your business objectives. Also important is to align your IT groups priorities and your business group's priorities, along the same lines. A lot of times, if the shared service center wants to do a certain aspects, certain transformation, and if IT is not ready and they're busy with a ERP overhaul or an ERP upgrade, then the timing may not be right. So you need to understand the timing and the timeliness of the solution. Secondly, developing a business case. In order to develop a business case, first and foremost, look at your current systems and look at the challenges of the current systems. Quantify that. Where are you losing efficiency? Where are you losing, cost, for example? All of that, need to be quantified. You need to estimate if you automate certain functions that we have talked about in the last 1 hour, what are the potential efficiency gains and cost? And based on that, put together a solution requirement. You may not need all of the 6 different areas that I've outlined initially. You may need 1 or 2 areas. Just put together the solution requirement for that and build the ROI model for if it is collections automation, how can you improve DSO, how can you reduce costs, how can you improve cash flow, and how do you translate that into ROI? pull that together, and based on that, you can start developing the business case. Again, with Emagia, we help several companies put together these projects, so we can help you at any point of time. With this, I'll open quickly for a Q&A. So please send your questions via chat, and I'll be happy to answer any of these questions. So the first question is around how long does it take to implement these kind of solutions? So again, first and foremost, you can start this you can start the implementation at a regional level, meaning North America or a particular region, and then incrementally advance it to other regions in the globe. A typical initial deployment may take anywhere from about 8 weeks to about 12 weeks deployment, and also depends on how many modules that you implement. Second question is around around pricing. Again, we will be happy to share with you with the pricing. Again, the pricing depends on two different models. One is the volumes of the transactions that are flowing, and two, the type of deployment, whether you're choosing a cloud deployment or an on-premise deployment. So I have another question. My organization operates with shared services. Do you have any info about best practices? Yes, we have a lot of information on best practices on shared service centers, and we'll be happy to share with you. We'll connect with you offline and start sharing some white papers as well as case studies on best practices. So with this, we will end today's session. Thank you so much for attending this session with us. Hopefully you found the information productive. For more information, please call us or email us at info@emagia.com. Thank you again.